You're very welcome to today's episode of Skin Deep by Karina Toden. I hope everyone is good and well. So this is something I've wanted to do for quite a long time, is take a real deep dive on vitamin A, because I go on and on about this molecule so much and there's so much information out there about vitamin A. So I just thought that maybe to those of you who follow me, listen to me, buy from me and are curious and invested in wanting to know what exactly is vitamin A. Am I using it already? Is it something I should use? How do I use it? And what exactly is it doing for me? So I want to just kind of, like I said, take a deep dive and explain to you what it is, what it's doing, and how important it is, and all the different types of vitamin A that is out there. First of all, there's a lot of misconceptions about vitamin A. Vitamin A is a vital nutrient, particularly for skin health. And yes, we do take it in our diet. And if we didn't use it in our skincare, we would be solely dependent on the vitamin A we get from our diet for our skin. Now, bearing in mind that when you take a nutrient in orally, you have to share it amongst all of your organs. So the skin would only get its share depending on how important it is, and the body doesn't recognize the skin as being a vital organ like the brain and the heart and the liver. So you would be getting its share. So that's why it's great that we can take it onto the skin topically as well. Now you might ask why would you feel that you need to do that, and if that's the case, why don't we apply every nutrient topically? Well, the reason is vitamin A is light sensitive. So in your internal organs like your liver and your heart, the vitamin A in those organs are not being depleted. However, the skin is the only organ apart from the eyes that is exposed to light. And that actually is the family name for vitamin A is retinoids, and that comes from retina in the eye as well. So they're all linked in. And so vitamin A in your skin every day is being depleted because your skin is exposed to light. And then what happens, a skin cell, when it is deficient in vitamin A, it becomes rather unhealthy, and it doesn't carry out its duties correctly, and it doesn't proliferate or turn into another cell correctly. And these are all very important things to happen within the skin. So like I said, vitamin A, the molecule, there's different forms of it, but they are all retinoids. Retinoic acid is a type of vitamin A that you can apply to your skin, but as the term acid would ascertain, it's quite irritating, and also it is photosensitizing, which means that it makes your skin more sensitive to light. And that is something with the skin that has already been exposed to light every day that we do not want. We do not want anything that's going to make our skin more light sensitive. And also the fact that it's very irritating, the fact that it is an acid as well is a downside. And also the fact that it is so irritating means that we have to really use a very small amount of it, and we can't use it very often. And the one thing about light is it comes at us every day, regardless. So that is why we work with, in our clinic and with Environ Skincare, which is a line that we work with a photoprotective form of vitamin A and a non-irritating form of vitamin A. It actually makes sense, doesn't it, that one would put something on their skin that's photoprotective and non-irritating rather than put something onto the skin that's irritating and light sensitizing. Now, what's important to note about retinoic acid in comparison to palmitate, acetate, propionate, and even retinol and retinaldehyde is that it's not more effective. It's not doing its duty any better. It's only more irritating and more light sensitizing. Because 1 international unit of any type of vitamin A, and vitamin A is the correct and right way to measure vitamin A is in an international unit, not in a percentage. The right way to measure it is in an international unit. And 1 international unit of vitamin A will turn into, either depending on when you apply it onto your skin, will turn into 1 international unit of retinoic acid or 1 international unit of palmitate. So if you imagine you apply whatever type of vitamin A that you are using, be it retinol, retinaldehyde, or whatever, your body will then, or your skin will then chemically convert that vitamin A to go, if it wants to use it up straight away, it will turn it into retinoic acid, or else if it wants to store it in its vitamin A banks or reservoirs, it will turn it into palmitate. And that's one of the reasons why palmitate is not an irritating form of vitamin A. Your 93% of the vitamin A in your cell is already palmitate. That's what your body almost wants to hold onto. That's what it turns it into. It will even take a prescription form of vitamin A and turn it into palmitate if it decides not to use it there and then. So you're not getting really any major benefit from working with the more irritating forms of vitamin A. When it comes to vitamin A, as with everything when it comes to the skin, it's important to be consistent, and it's important to be gentle, because we don't want to aggravate or irritate the skin. And we don't want to compromise the integrity of the skin in any way. And as with anything in the body, much like an exercise regime or anything that you decide to work with, it's the daily consistent habits that lead to great things gained slowly over time. So the vitamin A that we work with, and albeit that yes, vitamin A is a vital molecule for healthy skin, it really is, particularly as we age, because what does the term aging mean? Only exposed to a lifetime of more light than someone younger. The only difference between, let's say, someone who's 6 months old and someone who's 60 years of age is the person who's 60 years of age has been exposed to many more daylights. So therefore they are potentially a lot more deficient in vitamin A than a child. So as important as vitamin A is for healthy skin, as with everything in life, it's not the only thing. We do need other ingredients in skincare to make our skin healthy. And in my opinion, the ingredients that are most important after vitamin A are antioxidants. And what are antioxidants doing to the skin? Well, basically what happens when we're living, not only are we exposed to light, and light is the greatest free radical of all, but we're also exposed to many free radicals in the environment. And the term even free is a bit of a paradox, because they don't want to be free at all, these radicals. They want to actually latch onto our healthy cells and steal atoms from us. So when a free radical latches onto one of our cells, our healthy cells, it looks to steal one of our atoms, and that then makes our skin cell oxidized. An oxidized cell, and when we have many, many billions of them, look to you and I like a dull, grey, tired skin cell, and most likely then they will not all leave the outer layer in a uniformed way, and you'll have build up and texture, etc., etc. So this is one of the wonderful things when you combine vitamin A and antioxidants. And Dr. Des Fernandez was one of the first to ever use vitamin A in a topical formulation, and one of the first to ever use antioxidants. He is quite the pioneer in skincare. He also pioneered microneedling and the use of antioxidants in SPF. So what's happening, the best way I can describe it to you is, if you were to peel an avocado and leave it sitting on your kitchen counter, what's going to happen to that avocado is it's going to start to turn dull and grey. Whereas if you were to squeeze lime juice over it, it won't oxidize as quickly. And that is because lime juice is an antioxidant. So vitamin A, like I said, is the most important molecule because it is responsible for cell proliferation and a healthy skin cell. It's a powerful ingredient. It actually has the power to change the DNA of a skin cell. Like, even your genetics could say that your skin is going to be acne, or it's going to be rosacea, or it's going to be hyperpigmented. Vitamin A has the power to change that, because every time your skin cell wants to go off on one and behave in this genetically predisposed way, vitamin A will reel it back in and tell it basically to behave, and tell it to do what it should do to carry out its duties correctly, and most importantly to proliferate in a healthy manner. And if a skin cell is unhealthy, vitamin A will tell it not to proliferate in that way again, so it will tell it to stop being unhealthy. So really the primary reason why Dr. Des Fernandez started to work with vitamin A was the prevention of skin cancer, because what he had found in his research after losing 2 young patients to melanoma was that before the skin cell was ever cancerous, it was unhealthy. And the reason why it was unhealthy was because it was deficient in vitamin A. So I want you to imagine a plant sitting on a kitchen window. And every day the sunlight is coming in and it's drying up the soil. What's going to happen if nobody comes along and waters that plant? It's going to wither and die. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Your skin cell is going to wither and become really unhealthy. Now, let's say you were to come along and you were to meet myself or one of my team at Monica Tolan, the Skin Experts, and we were to introduce you to this incredible skincare formulation that contains vitamin A, that non-irritating and that photoprotective form of vitamin A in a very, very low dose, and also an abundance of antioxidants. And we were to say, okay, let's put you on a journey to beautiful, healthy skin for a lifetime. Now, the thing is, we don't know where your plant is at, if you wish. We don't know, is your plant extremely dry so that when you come along with a little bit of water, all the water just flows over the top? Or maybe is it kind of moist so it receives the water we give? So what we do is we have a system that has almost chef kiss perfected the induction of vitamin A into skin. And that is where we have literally numbered it 1 to 5. Now, when I say almost perfected, I'm working with these formulations since 2005, 2006. And when I would have originally started working with them, I would have encountered more negative responses to vitamin A than I do today. So that's how I know it has got better and better and better over the years. But also because we have started to work in the years following 06, 07, maybe 2010 to 2012, we start working with oral vitamin A and skin-specific supplements from Advanced Nutrition Program. And there is no doubt that my clients who take the Advanced Nutrition Program skin-specific supplements alongside their topical supplements, and I like to call these topical supplements, they get to where they want to be so much quicker with far less resistance, because it's almost that sandwich effect. We can feed the skin. The skin is the only double-sided organ, so we can feed the skin from within and we can feed it topically as well. So that is the ideal situation. And if I'm honest, 99% of Monica Tolan clients are doing both. They are feeding their skin orally as well as topically, and that's why they're getting such incredible results. So going back to that plant in the window, and we have no idea how deficient you are. So we're going to start you off on a very, very low international unit dose of vitamin A and a lower dose of vitamin C as well. Our formulations combine both vitamin A and vitamin C. You are not to worry about people who say you can't use vitamin A and vitamin C together. The reason why they're saying that is because they work with very irritating forms of vitamin A, retinoic acid, or vitamin C, ascorbic acid. We don't work with either of them. We work with non-irritating forms and fat-soluble forms of vitamin C. So we have the joy of using it with no irritation. So we come along and we start you off on number 1. It's pretty basic, literally number 1. Nothing technical about that. And depending on how your skin responds to the first step in your journey will determine really how deficient your skin was to begin with. And this is really, really important, because sometimes clients will come into us and say, this skin is making my skin dry and it's making my skin irritated. It's not for me. The exact opposite is actually the case. You need it more than anybody, because the fact that you have responded in a way that is irritated and dry and sensitive means that your vitamin A receptors on your cell had already begun to shrink in on themselves, and your skin was so deficient. Or if we go back to the analogy of a plant in the window, your soil was so dry that when we came along and poured the water on it, it all spilt out everywhere. And that's exactly what happens with skincare. When we apply vitamin A, even in a very low dose that most skin would be fine with, if the skin cell is so deficient in vitamin A, the vitamin A will actually gather around the wall of the cell. The cell won't have the receptors in place. So you might say, well, what happens to that client? Well, there's various different tools that we can do, but we can implement. But how we get your receptors to open up and receive the vitamin A is very similar to the plant in the window. We must go low and we must go slow. So let's say instead of putting the plant under the tap and watering it, we might get a teaspoon of water and slowly put some water in every morning and put some water every evening. Then we might go to an egg cup. And then we might go to a small glass, and eventually the soil will moisten. And when in doing that, you'll start to see the plant looking a lot more healthier till you're able to water the plant sufficiently. It's exactly the same with skin. So we must keep knocking the door of those receptors. So we must give small amounts of vitamin A, very small amounts of vitamin A often, every morning and every evening, because we need to prepare your skin in the morning for light exposure with the antioxidants, and then we must refill in the evening with whatever vitamin A may have been depleted that day. So that's why we want the morning and evening application. So what we can do is we can say, if your skin is very deficient on ABST1 and it's responding what we call negatively, then we can mix it in with a hydrating moisturizer, which will carry it in, just a small amount of the vitamin A to kind of knock those receptors doors. Or we can use vitamin A every second day, much like you could water the plant every second day, that kind of thing. And then what will happen is gradually the skin cell will open up, and the receptors will open up, and it will start to receive the vitamin A, and then you'll be able to avail of your morning and evening application. Now, what's really important when you start on a journey with topical vitamin A, that you include right down to the neck area, because even look at me here today and I'm indoors. From here up is what's exposed to light. So that's the area that's been depleted most of my vitamin A. Because if you stop applying it here, let's say on the jawline, and then you progress to ABST or Eutecentia 4 or 5, and now you're like, oh my God, my skin looks amazing, I'm loving this product, but my neck doesn't look great because I haven't been applying it on my neck, so I'm gonna go ahead and use these formulations on my neck. What's happened is your neck hasn't been brought on the journey, has it? You never exposed it to level 1, level 2, level 3. So the minute you expose it to the higher levels, boom, you've got a negative response to vitamin A, and it's not pleasant, and it's certainly not pleasant on the neck. So make sure that you include the neck area when you are using these products, because these bottles only have enough preservatives in them. The team in Environ Skincare have worked out that if a client uses it from the top of her forehead right down to the bottom of her neck every morning and every evening, he'll only have it on his bathroom shelf for X amount of weeks, which is usually 8 to 10 weeks. So we don't need to put preservatives in this product to keep it any longer than 12, 14 weeks. So what will happen is, this is not a product that's, you can sit on your shelf for 6 months and go back to it. In order to get the benefits from it, you must use it every morning and every evening, and you must be consistent with it. And then what happens is, once your ABST1 is gone and once your skin is showing signs of loving these products as opposed to resisting these products, then we start to increase the international unit of vitamin A, and we start to increase the amount of vitamin C in the product. And then as we continue on in our journey, we bring in different types of vitamin A, because different types of vitamin A creates different types of retinoic acid in the cell. So it's important that we expose the skin to a variety. So we might bring in acetate alongside it. And then as we continue on, we start to bring in peptides, amino acids for collagen, because it's only at this point of health that your skin will actually react to these peptides, that the fibroblasts will start making better and healthier collagen, because the vitamin A you've used up until this point has been making your fibroblasts, which are responsible for elastin and collagen. Your vitamin A has been making these fibroblasts a lot more healthy. So then when we come in level 4, 5 with the peptides, or level 3, 4, 5 with the peptides, your skin is ready to act on this. It's ready to do its job because it is in so much better shape. And that is how you have beautiful, healthy skin for a lifetime. And I'm not a fan of compartmentalizing skin. I don't like to put skin into a box. Sensitive skin, what is that? Sensitive is not a normal state of skin. It's not enough to say, oh, I'm sensitive and that's who I am. It's not. That means your skin's not healthy. And you can take yourself out of that state and put yourself into a state of health when you work with these formulations. Oily, again, is not a form of healthy skin. It is a symptom of poor health. So that is where we come along. This is the joy of that molecule, vitamin A. If you're oily, vitamin A will tell your sebaceous glands to tighten up. That's what Roaccutane is oral vitamin A in very, very high doses. That's exactly what vitamin A will do. But on the flip side, if you're dry, it will tell your skin to be more hydrated. In actual fact, hyaluronic acid is one of the hardest molecules to get into the skin. But your skin actually makes hyaluronic acid. And you want to know what tells your skin to make really, really good hyaluronic acid? Vitamin A. It is the chief instigator of hyaluronic acid. So all of these events are going to happen a lot more fluid-like, and with a lot more rhythm and a lot more consistent when you are using this molecule that is vitamin A. So you might say to me, Karina, what happens in the winter time though? Or, occasionally I get a negative response to vitamin A. Well, because we're using so much, and you must remember, within the Environ Skincare, let's say within Retinol 3 and ABST 5, you're using the highest permissible dose of vitamin A. So don't believe anyone who tells you there's not enough vitamin A. That is the highest legal amount of vitamin A in these formulations. It's not even legal to put more in. So that's how much vitamin A is in these products. They're just not irritating your skin. That's the only difference. And they're actually protecting it